Japan's central bank makes a bold bet to reignite the country's economy. I'm Marcus Mabry for the New York Times. David Gillen is the deputy business editor, and he joins me now. David, thanks for being here.
Pleasure, Marcus.
Okay, so lay out for us, what is the bold bet that the Bank of Japan and its new governor have made?
Right. This is part of what people are calling Abenomics, the economic policy of Shinzo Abe, the new prime minister. The central bank in Japan said today that it was going to essentially buy bonds in the open market, much like the U.S. Federal Reserve has been doing with what we call quantitative easing. This is going to drive down long-term interest rates and just put more money into the economy.
Mm-hmm. Now, the goal of this, of course, is to stop a terribly painful, decades-long deflationary spiral in Japan, where prices went down, wages went down because companies couldn't charge as much for goods and services. Now, the goal of this is to stabilize that and to create inflation.
Yeah.
Explain to us why are rising prices a good thing?
Well, what's happening is Japan has been stuck in a rut for 20 years and actually in deflation for 15 years. Okay, so prices have been falling. That discourages people from spending money, encourages, more importantly, companies from investing. So what they're trying to do is sort of, just light a little fire to get things going, and 2% inflation is their target. That's not a lot.
Right. So explain to us, why did it take the Japanese this long?
Well, we were discussing, before we started here, some of the steps that we're seeing from the world's central banks not long ago would have been considered highly unorthodox. Well, what the Fed is doing with quantitative easing and so forth. Well, now, what was once unorthodox, people are saying, well, let's give it a shot. They've already reduced interest rates to zero for years, so they've got nothing left in their traditional quiver of tools or arrows, and so they're going to give it a shot.
So it's true. Japan's been in great pain for a long time economically. For that reason, the Nikkei and the stock market in Japan pretty happy about this news so far. But what are the risks of quantitative easing from the Japanese point of view? Because they're actually buying even more than the U.S. has when we did.
Yeah. I mean, to put it in perspective, what their plan, the amount of bonds that they're going to buy per year is the equivalent of 10% of the nation's economy. That's a lot.
Being bought by its own bank.
Okay, correct. So what are the risks? The risks are, one, Japan ends up in even more debt than it already is, okay, and it's just printing money and buying back its own bonds, so that's one. And two, the yen is already weakened as a result of this move, which is what you would expect because they're easing policy aggressively. And so that could get people in Washington even concerned about the exchange rates and so forth.
Right.
And what that
Japanese
means,
goods are even more competitive internationally and against
Correct.
all their rivals, the U.S. and Europe.
Correct. And the last thing anybody wants is a currency war.
All right. Well, we'll see what the next volley is in the fight.
Thanks.
That's all for now. I'm Marcus Mabry for the New York Times.